Breakups can be tough and often involve a whirlwind of emotions. Many times we find ourselves questioning whether our ex has truly moved on, or if they are merely hiding their feelings. Sorting through this kind of dilemma requires keen observation and understanding of specific indicators. Today we're going to highlight 4 signs that suggest your ex may not be as over you as they claim to be. Number 1. They keep finding reasons to contact you. One of the most prominent signs that your ex is not really over you is if they keep finding reasons to make contact with you. Even after the breakup, they may look for excuses to get in touch, rather than making a clean break and moving on. This sign is indicative of a person who might still have feelings for you, or is having a hard time letting go. Let's examine this further. After a breakup, it's normal to have a period of disconnection where neither party communicates with each other regularly. This period is usually used for healing and rediscovery. However, if your ex continuously reaches out, then it is a sign that they are still attached. The reasons your ex may find to contact you may vary. They could ask about a random thing that happened while you were together, like the name of a restaurant you ate at, or they want to know about your well-being, or they reached out merely to remind you about a mutual friend's birthday. Whatever their excuse might be, the underlying reason is often associated with their reluctance to cut ties. Interestingly, it's not only the frequency, but also the quality of communication that can reflect your ex's hidden sentiments. If the conversations are generally more personal than practical, emotional over rational, or hold an element of nostalgia, these could all be subtle indicators that your ex hasn't entirely moved on. Here's another critical perspective to consider: the timing of their communication. If your ex is reaching out during more emotional times of the day, like late at night or early morning, it shows that you're still in their thoughts in those quiet, reflective moments. It's easier to mask true feelings during busy hours of the day, but when it's quiet, emotions tend to seep out. One important factor to take into account is the tone of their communication. If they talk to you the way they used to when you were in a relationship, it's another sign that they aren't over you. Furthermore, if the conversation often strays into reminiscing territory, or they express missing you and the good times you had, it's evident that they still have feelings for you. However, bear in mind that just because an ex keeps in touch, it doesn't automatically mean they want to rekindle the relationship. They could be struggling with loneliness or dealing with the discomfort of change, and reaching out to you, someone who's been a constant in their life, is their way of coping. Therefore, while frequent communication can be a sign, it should be considered along with other indicators before drawing any conclusions. Make no mistake, coping with a breakup is an inherently personal and difficult process. People display varied behaviors, and the act of frequently reaching out can be a sign that your ex might not be entirely over you yet. However, it's equally essential to remember that maintaining healthy boundaries is key to moving on independently. Pay close attention to these signs, but also acknowledge and respect your own feelings and experience during these moments. Number 2, their social media activity revolves around you. One significant way to gauge someone's lingering interest after a relationship ends, even if they assert otherwise, is through their social media actions. With everything, from our daily activities to our feelings, being demonstrated through these online platforms nowadays, it's only natural for a person's thoughts and emotions to trickle down here as well. When your ex's social media activity centers mostly around you, it could reveal that they haven't moved on, despite their claims. Social media is a reflection of a part of our lives, after all, and their dependence on you for content could mean that you still occupy a significant part of their mind space. To begin with, a major sign is how frequently they react to your posts. Pay attention to how quickly they like or comment on your updates. If it's usually swift and consistent, they're probably still invested heavily, and your posts remain a priority in their feed. Moreover, if you notice a surplus of comments from them as compared to others, this is another clue that they might not be as over you as they portray. The nature of their comments is also instrumental in determining their actual feelings. If their responses to your posts range from humorous to supportive to reminiscent, it's clear that they're seeking ways to engage with you. They might even tag you or respond to your comments on mutual friends' posts more often than necessary. This intentional interaction on a public platform can be a subtle indication that they still want to keep the lines of communication open. Another signal is the manner in which they share posts relating to you. If your ex happens to post a lot about past shared experiences, inside jokes, or even places you two used to frequent together, they might be subtly trying to remind you of the times you spent together. Look out for the reposts or shares of relationship-related content as well. Quotes about love found and lost or longing for someone absent could be hints of their unresolved feelings toward you. The frequency with which they check up on your profiles might also be telling. If you find them choosing to view your stories or status updates, despite knowing that you'll receive a notification, it's a sign that they may not be as detached as they appear. Even the mere act of keeping their accounts public for you, particularly if they were previously private, could be a purposeful move to keep you updated about their life. Remember, social media platforms are susceptible to projected personas and can easily be manipulated to convey an image far from reality. However, the consistency and depth of the actions mentioned above could offer a peek into their supposedly hidden emotions. If your ex is portraying most of these behaviors, it could well mean that they're not as over you as they claim to be. It's essential to approach this knowledge with care, respecting their feelings as well as your own. Number 3, they show up at places you frequent. One of the major signs that your former partner may not be entirely over you is when they consistently show up at places you frequent. This could be your favorite diner, the gym where you sweat out, the coffee shop you love, or even the park where you walk your dog. Coincidences do happen, sure, but not if they are happening persistently. When an ex shows up to places where they know you spend a lot of time, it can feel a bit disconcerting, and for a good reason. This kind of behavior is a clear indicator that you're very much on their mind, maybe even more than you realize. It suggests that they might be missing your consistent presence in their life. Think about it like this. Small encounters, even just for a few minutes, are fueling their craving to see you, to be near you. There is a comfort associated with familiarity, and seeing you, even out of the familiar context of a relationship, is somehow comforting for them. Consider the times you have bumped into your ex at these places. Do they seem surprised? More often than not, it could very well be intentional. It's a sort of their way of feeling close to you without crossing any boundaries. It's an attempt to stay connected to you and perhaps unconsciously, to remind you of their presence in your life. Also important to consider is if they start showing up at places new to them but familiar to you. For instance, if your ex never went jogging but suddenly you spot them in your fitness club, or never had a taste for Italian but are suddenly regulars at your much-loved pizza place, you may want to draw some conclusions. While it's fair to argue that people can change, developing new hobbies or trying out new food, if they combine this behavior with other signals, such as frequent texting or calling, they likely have not moved on. Seeing your ex engage in your favorite activities or intrigued by your tastes can indicate a subconscious desire to relate to you on deeper levels again, even when the relationship has ended. Interestingly, they might not realize what they're doing. Love can often cloud our self-awareness, and they might not consciously appreciate why they feel compelled to explore these new places or activities. They might not comprehend why they keep finding themselves in accidental run-ins. To end, it's important not to feel overwhelmed or violated by these surprise appearances. At best, they reveal the emotions your ex is grappling with, and this knowledge will leave you more in control of your narrative. Also remember, the way you feel about their appearances in your social circles will also provide insights into your feelings towards your ex and the dissolved relationship. Number 4. Their behavior towards you is hot and cold. One of the most perplexing signs that your ex might not be entirely over you is that their behavior towards you fluctuates between hot and cold. It is a classic sign that speaks volumes about their conflicted emotions and unresolved feelings. Handling such behavior can certainly be baffling and emotionally draining, as their actions seemingly vary between two extremes. At times they are incredibly sweet and affectionate, treating you as they did when you were in a relationship, and at other times they can be incredibly distant and dismissive. This emotional roller coaster can leave you feeling confused, frustrated, and uncertain about their true feelings towards you. Now, why does this happen? It's because their feelings for you haven't evaporated entirely. On one hand, they are trying to move on and convince themselves that the breakup was for the best. This is when they display the cold behavior. They may ignore your calls and messages, act standoffish when you run into them, or even go to the extent of being rude or curt. Subconsciously, they are erecting barriers to protect themselves from getting hurt again or falling back into old patterns. On the other hand, the intense love and attraction they once felt for you don't just disappear into thin air. The memories and significant moments you shared with them create an emotional bond that is difficult to sever completely. The hot behavior is a manifestation of this residual affection. It could be expressed as random calls or messages checking on you, initiating meaningful conversations that remind you of old times, or acting friendly and cordial when you bump into them. It's important to understand that such erratic behavior is probably as difficult for them as it is for you. They might be battling a mix of emotions and grappling with the reality of the separation. However, they may not necessarily be intending to get back together. Trying to rekindle the relationship based on these hot and cold episodes might not be the best idea. There might be other underlying issues that both of you aren't yet ready to address. The key while dealing with such a situation is to maintain a steady emotional ground and clear communication. Have an open conversation about your observations and feelings. Remember, understanding, patience, and empathy can go a long way in navigating through such a predicament. In a nutshell, the hot and cold behavior is a sign that your ex is experiencing conflicted emotions. They might be riding on the waves of moving ahead and clinging to the past. However, treat this as a sign that they are still dealing with closure, rather than an open invitation to rekindle what you once had. As difficult as it may sound, it's essential to stay rational and avoid jumping to conclusions based on their fluctuating behavior. It's a confusing time for both parties, and it's important to act wisely and considerately. And there you have it, 4 telltale signs that your ex is not completely over you. Remember, every situation is unique, so use these signs as guidelines to better understand your relationship. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more insights. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.